What happens when a shadow war becomes a real one, when the invisible tendrils of conflict solidify into tangible missiles fired in the dead of night? That's the question the world found itself grappling with after the 1st of April, when an Israeli strike hit Iran's consulate in Syria. This action ignited a chilling response in the form of over 300 drones and missiles launched at Israel by Iran overnight. Despite the onslaught, Israel reported that it, along with its allies, had intercepted 99% of the incoming weapons. This marked Iran's first direct assault on Israel, turning their years-long shadow war into a palpable reality. World leaders, gripped by the sudden escalation, urged restraint, their voices echoing around a tense Middle East. In the aftermath of the attack, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, declared, "Together we will win," yet the specifics of his country's planned response remain shrouded in uncertainty. This lack of clarity follows a stern warning from Israel's defense and foreign ministers in the previous week, stating that any attack from Iran would be met with a counterstrike within Iran's borders. The anticipation of an attack had been growing since the strike on the Damascus consulate, which resulted in the deaths of 7 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps officers. Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, issued a stern warning in response, stating that reckless behavior from Israel or its supporters would be met with a decisive and much stronger response. The most powerful branch of Iran's armed forces, the IRGC, claimed responsibility for the attack, citing it as retaliation for Israel's repeated crimes, including the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Following the strikes, the Iranian mission to the UN declared the matter concluded. Iranian Armed Forces Chief of Staff Majgen Mohammad Bagheri delivered a clear message to the US via Switzerland, warning that any American support of an Israeli retaliation would result in US regional bases being targeted. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian assured the US that attacks against Israel would be limited and purely for self-defense. US President Joe Biden, after speaking to Mr. Netanyahu following the Iranian attack, reaffirmed America's ironclad commitment to the security of Israel. He condemned the unprecedented attack on Israel and acknowledged that the US had assisted in taking down nearly all of the missiles and drones. World leaders now face the daunting task of responding to this major escalation in tensions between Israel and Iran. US President Biden has pledged to convene his fellow G7 leaders to coordinate a united diplomatic response to Iran's audacious attack. The UN Security Council is also set to hold an emergency meeting, with UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres strongly condemning the attack and calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities. As the sirens echoed across Israel and loud explosions reverberated over Jerusalem, Israeli intelligence sources reported that the main targets were military installations in the occupied Golan Heights. According to an Israeli military spokesman, around 360 munitions had been fired, including 170 explosive drones, 30 cruise missiles, and 120 ballistic missiles. Despite this, Israel reported minimal damage. As the dust settles and the world watches, the question remains, what happens next in this shadow war turned real? Only time will tell.